Good days and gentlemen, my name is Emmanuel Adesanya or Adesanya Emmanuel. My first name Emmanuel, my last name Adesanya. Now I'll be here. I'm a publisher, an author. I have some books of mine which I published about as far back as June on Amazon.com. One of them titled Ether and Time in Electromagnetism. And I laid a lot of emphasis, and many of my published books made reference to this ether, as to how he explains many of the properties of nature, many phenomena in different fields and areas and aspects of science we see in physics, electromagnetic fields themselves, the electric fields, the magnetic fields, gravity itself. Now, if you look at conventional physics today, there has been a lot of confusion. Many are not even clear. They do not understand again what is physics all about. Why are there so many puzzles? Why is it so hard for us to understand simply what a particle is, what a wave is? How do these two connect? Why is it that matter possesses the dual properties? How is it that something that can be a particle can also be a wave? What is causing this dual property of nature? You can't still explain it. Even the de Broglie's formula, lambda equals to h/mv. He gave it as a way to relate, but still he did not give a sound theory as to explain what goes on in the microscopic realm that connects to the macroscopic realm, that gives matter the dual nature. What theory, what emphasis, and that is why even as far back at the time of Newton, Maxwell, Faraday, Galileo, Nikola Tesla, these scientists and great thinkers have always laid an emphasis that there must be a medium for every wave that exists. A wave requires a medium for propagation. But many of the conventional physicists and scientists, as around the late 1800s, made a conclusion that there was no need for a medium. Because why? The ether was proposed. As at the time, Albert Michelson and Michael Morley conducted an experiment using light interferometer to check the speed of ether in respect to light. They wanted to know what was the speed of light, whether light truly they could detect that difference in speed by using mirrors, ensuring that they had mirrors a prism and mirrors that were inclined, one perpendicular, one following the direction of movement of the air, and one perpendicular to it. They made the assumption based upon a stationary ether. Ether is mobile, it is not stationary as people think. So when people are reading textbooks and think, okay, the Michelson-Morley experiment already disproved the ether concept, therefore Einstein's special relativity theory came to save the day. No, the ether is mobile. Even Nikola Tesla made emphasis on this many times. The ether is a mobile wave. As energy as it is a wave. It moves. It keeps moving and it moves at speeds. It is a medium. It's also a wave. And it's because of this medium, that's why light cannot move faster than its speed in vacuum. It is ether that is regulating all these things and is responsible for the dual properties of matter. Now let's look at the ether. What is this ether? Because why we all have been hearing it. How does ether relate? Let's go back to the very basic concept of the foundation of ether's formation. What ether really is? It is a gas in a state, a sort of wet gas that carries charges, a sort of fluid and carries charges, and many things in nature came from it. These charges, both positive and negative, they came from some things called forces. Forces are the most basic and fundamental elements of nature. Anything that exists, they are intangible. They do not carry mass, do not carry any prop of sound tangible property that can be felt, but they are always in constant haphazard motion. They keep moving left and right, and it's the constant interaction when they come and they hit each other brings that force of attraction that we hear about in magnetism in fields. On the rebounds, it's called a force of repulsion. Because why? These forces keep interacting. That's why if you look at gravity, no matter how big a body is or how small, you always feel that force existing between two bodies. Why that force is existing even between an electric field, a magnetic field, and a gravitational, is because the forces are the most fundamental. How do these forces operate is another question. How do they exist? Now, these forces, as they exist in intangible form. Now, these forces, as they exist in the diagram I shall show you above, This is a force. This is a force, and this is another force. These two are forces. This is a force moving. This force and this force, they could either come and knock each other. They could either come and they knock each other like this. If you look at the top one, we notice this is a repulsion. And why? It is because these two forces, they are taking one single travel path, though they are coming in different directions. This force is going in this direction, and this force is going in this direction. But if you notice, the reason why they have a repulsion is because they have the same travel path. But if you look at the one below, this is an attraction. And why? It's because despite this is coming this way, and this is coming this way, they are not taking the same travel path. The channel which they are moving is not the same. And the moment they pass by each other, it generates something called a force of attraction. These two, upon hitting, because they are in the same travel path, going in different direction, they will rebound upon this point of contact where they rebound with that same, the forces must rebound. But when they do not take the same travel path, there's an attraction force generated. Because why? Though they are coming towards each other, but the travel path is not the same. Therefore, causing it to have that force of attraction. Causing it to have that force of attraction. And it's this idea of repulsion and attraction that brings about this concept of a negative force, negative charge, negative charge, and a positive charge. If you look at the way a negative charge is, just like the force of attraction, there is a force coming this direction, is another going that direction. This is a negative charge. As you can see, this is a negative charge being formed. These two forces now, they are taking different travel paths. And because their travel path is different, a force of attraction will be generated that generates that thing called a negative charge. It's that force of attraction that generates something out of nothing. Now, as this is formed now, looking at the positive force, you will notice that the negative charge composes of just two forces coming in contact with each other. Under the positive charge, you have more than two forces. You have up to 4. Moving, some perpendicular, up and down, while the other 2 are moving in horizontal formats. The other 2 are vertical. And as they are coming, they have different travel paths. They are all taking. They are not taking the same travel path. Though they cross each other at some point, but the travel path is not the same. Just as you see here, in this one below. Just to let you know that they pass by each other. And it's this thing that is causing a force of attraction that causes the positive force. Now, the reason why the positive draws the negative is because these lines of force, they flow from here in the positive, and they move into the negative. As the force is moving from positive into the negative, that same force, another one is moving from negative back into positive. That's why we're looking at the electric field and magnetic field. We said that the lines of force always move from the positive field and goes into the negative field, thus drawing it. How it is doing this is because of these lines of force that are continually moving. They move from positive and enter the negative. And the negative's own, the force inside negative is going back into the positive. That is how the positive draws the negative to it. So looking at this concept now, this is what that happens. So now, after understanding this concept, there is something I want you to understand, and that is something called matter points. This matter point is talking about a particle. Because why? These charges, any freely moving charges, is what that generates wave. When you have the positive and the negative charge existing, is what that comes about the concept called a wave. A wave comes about when you have positive and negative charges. It's in my material, ether and electromagnetism. I stated it here. When you have a positive and a negative charge continually moving, these two positive and negative must always be present in any energy. Their continual motion is what they bring about that concept of wave. Wave is energy. But now this same wave, it is from it that a particle comes out. That particle is what we call matter point. Matter point is when you have a positive and a negative being attracted together. This is what we call matter point. We call this matter points, the positive and the negative that have been held together after the continual motion. At a point, the positive force of attraction was able to exceed that of the repulsion in the field. This brings about something called matter points. And this matter point now is what that is the first particle. First particle, this is where the very concept of charge and mass come about. Where you have a charge value and a mass value. Now, what is this mass value? Mass value is talking about the number of positive and negative charges that have been attracted together, or the number of matter points, the number of particles. That is what mass value is, number of particles. Just like Isaac Newton said, mass is the quantity of matter, as you can see here. But what is charge value? When you say something has a charge of a certain value, this is the value of the charge of that body. It's talking about the level of attraction between this positive and this negative. That's what it's talking about. Between this positive and this negative, that amount of force, how much they are held together. That is what it's talking about. But the number of positive and negative held together is what that is called mass. So now there is something called cycle that keeps building. A cycle keeps building. As it keeps going, it spirals like a frequency movement as to generate larger microscopic bodies where you have your protons, electrons, and neutrons that brings about this state. And as this is happening, the wave property is gradually diminishing. The wave property, even at this matter point, the wave property is still very clear, very, very visible. The particle property does not yet supersede it. The particle property is this just the first point particle property exists, but wave still exists greatly in this realm. Everything wave is still dominant. Not until the time when a lot of these matter points, these particles, have been created in a body, and all of it have been combined and joined together. Then you now see the particle property are more visible and the wave property begins to diminish. So just to help you understand that a particle is actually a wave, a stable wave. Because why? Waves are in continuous random motion, because these positive and negative charges are not staying still in the wave field. They are always continually moving. They are always in random motion. And this is the idea of ether. This is why it must be revisited. This is why a lot of people are emphasized they go back and visit. This ether concept is a very wonderful and a very beautiful concept. With it, it explains electric, magnetic fields. This is the very basic and primal concept of what matter is. Everything starts from here. Your solid, your liquid, your gas, any state of matter, everything. This is how they keep forming. This is the ultimate state. So I don't see the point of the string theory, loop quantum gravity. None of those things are required. They are not necessary. Because why? They are not going to bring any solution. They are just going to keep us more and more in confusion. This ether theory is the theory to move for now. I emphasize a lot of people to move in that direction. Because why? If you look at the work of Michelson and Morley, what did they talk about their light interferometer? They are trying to make us believe, oh, this is the theory, this is what that helps matter to be, but it is not. It is all just lies. And anyone that is wise enough, that is able to see, will understand that this cannot be it. There is something more. And it's because of the abandonment of ether that has caused this great harm into physics and modern science. So you can look it up. And please like, comment, subscribe to my channel. This is my first video. I'm trying to get a lot of people, and I want people to be aware, understand what this theory is. Around $3 to $5. Very cheap, very easy, accessible. I have many of them ordered here. I have some on photoelectric effects, so I'll be doing more videos on that. I'll put my email, I'll put a link to the Amazon page if you like to see it. My email, and you can also WhatsApp me if you like to have a private chat with me on WhatsApp. I'll put my WhatsApp details there so that you can talk to me. Thank you for your time.